Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger, and we are going to be taking a look at some movie recommendations. Movies you can see just by clicking your mouse. So, first off, we have Cocaine One Man Seduction, 1983. Dennis Weaver is a real estate salesman with career problems. He gets hooked on cocaine. He looks to the Colombian marching powder as a solution for his business slump. Now he misses all the warning signs, but his gambling friend, they have a poker night, Jeffrey Tambor, is completely blown out of his mind on the booger sugar. He's great in this, although there is some horrendous overacting scene. I gotta wonder, were they really? There, the amount of insufflating, sniffing, whiffing, ripping, dipping, and chipping that they are doing in this movie. They call it toot, and there's no shortage of huffing, puffing, sniffing, whiffing. They are just tooting like rootin' tootin'. It's going out of style. And real quickly, the bottom of Dennis Weaver's reality drops off from underneath of him. And we can sit there and relish it, point and laugh. David Aykroyd is fantastic in this movie. Pretty much all of the James Spader, child actor James Spader, spectacular. Even the cute 80s chick, was it Sally or Sagan? I'm not sure. I'm going to guess it was Sagan Lewis. Everybody did a fantastic job acting in this movie. And if you haven't seen it, it's just amazing to me. Cocaine had already destroyed so many lives by the time 1983 rolled around. I would think this movie would have came out in 1989, but nope. It had already done its damage on the West Coast. People were hip and they made this movie. And if you haven't seen it, this is a legendary made-for-TV movie about blow that you should not miss. It's a little bit sad, but it's an hour and a half. You're in, you're out, and the acting is good. Now, I have not seen Rockers, the best reggae movie from 1978, but I am definitely going to be checking this out more than likely tonight. This movie looks like the real deal. Horsemouth sets him up in business selling records, but when gangsters steal his bike, things start to turn nasty. So he meant business with that pipe. That corn, was that a corncob bong that he had there? Now we know that the island of Jamaica, where this obviously was shot there, ganja is part of their religion, and this is taken seriously. So it's not. This isn't a point and laugh wacky drug comedy. This is a music movie, and the music and dancing looks all real. This is legitimate. This looks joyous, and it's going to spread a lot of love and joy into my life to consume this movie. I cannot wait to watch Rockers as soon as I possibly can. We also have Psych Out. This is a psychedelic movie from 1968. The dancing in this movie, the music does not match up to the dancing. That's that comment I made about Rockers, that it's going to have real dancing in it. A lot of these movies made by white people, they had a different song playing when they shot the dance scenes, and then they would dub in a different piece of music, and they didn't tempo match it. They didn't think like, hey, some people are going to be able to tell that this dancing isn't real because the song is different. And I'm one of those people. Now, Psych Out is really not bad of a movie. Typically, the white drug movies, the psychedelic, the hippie stuff, like there's a movie, a really well-known movie with a single extended psychedelic scene, and that's a great movie, Easy Rider. The movies that are just psychedelic, okay, the movies that are like acid movies, they're usually terrible. And the reason they're so bad is bad audio, even worse camera work, bad editing, and they'll have, the mismatched dancing scenes, nonsensical plot. But these movies are always fun for me. There's always something in there that makes it worthwhile watching. And in this movie, it's the performances and the time capsule aspect of it. The Trip is a more famous film, 1967. It's not really that good of a movie, but it features a lot of the same people, being Susan Strasberg, Bruce Dern. Now, Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda are in The Trip, and I really didn't enjoy The Trip. I really didn't. Um, I thought, oh, this is going to be good, and it's terrible. The Trip is it's a terrible movie. Now, Psych Out, actually, as a sidebar, if you're looking for a good psychedelic movie, really the only one that I've ever saw that's decent is Head. It's actually a good movie, and the Monkees made that. You could check that out. You can find that one on YouTube as well. This Psych Out is Jack Nicholson, Bruce Dern, and a band called The Seeds, along with a band called the Strawberry Alarm Clock, Incense and Peppermints. So this girl, Susan Strasberg, is deaf. She gets off the bus, and the first people she meets is Jack Nicholson. Now, he's like 35, and he's trying to dress like a hippie. You can't really buy it. You can't. He was so like snarky and Jack Nicholson that I didn't really buy him. It's Jack Nicholson, you know. He's not a hippie. Get out of here. Susan Strasberg as the deaf girl was great. Dean Stockwell as the bad hippie was even better. Now, this Dean Stockwell character, there was a real lot of guys like this, even when I was coming up, and they would psychoanalyze everybody and try to steal girlfriends. They were just all about macking chicks. And by macking, I mean hit and run. They would steal your girlfriend for a week, and then she would come crying back to you because they moved on to stealing someone else's girlfriend. Here we can see Jack Nicholson as an aging. He's a 35-year-old man. There are these scenes where he is trying to act like he's a musician and do like that's an open fifth and like talking about on the one or something. It's just I couldn't buy it. And like he was playing a sixth string, but he was air miming the bass lines. I don't know. She's cute, and she played the role of the deaf girl really well. The performances are good enough, with the exception of just this disbelief with Jack Nicholson. You know, like it's Jack Nicholson. I just, you know, it's like he's all of a sudden he's going to start doing lines from Batman or something. But they did talk about the free store at the Haight Ashbury, and there was some ridiculous scene with the hippies in there throwing stuff around. This scene was the only believable scene in the movie with Jack Nicholson where he did act, where he was flirting with this blonde woman. That was a great scene. Now, Bruce Dern's in this movie, and he is fantastic as the Seeker, the girl's sister. This is the reason she's down there is to find her brother who's lost, and he's actually on a horrific drug trip. Now, this is one of the other band members or buddies of Jack Nicholson. This guy was another one of those guys who was just too old and too chiseled to really be a legitimate hippie, but they dressed him up in the shirt. Here's Dean Stockwell. Dean Stockwell was great, and it kind of reminds me of, what was his, was it Indian? Was that the name of it was Indian, wasn't it? Taxi Driver. What's his name? The bad lieutenant. Harvey Keitel in Taxi Driver. Get the same thing. With the headband and the bad hair. I don't know. So yeah, she's cute. She acted like she was deaf. And it was believable. Her getting involved with Nicholson, you know she's going to get her heart broke. And just kind of that idea of free love, of how quickly she was kind of bouncing around from guy to guy. This dude was great. He was tripping in the movie and just goofy. But he was actually, I really liked that actor. He was great in it. And the funny thing is, well, they should have got the Seeds to coach Jack Nicholson on how you stand, how you act when you have an electric guitar, because It was not believable. Here are the scenes, one of the two bands, the other band being the Strawberry Alarm Clock. These scenes were not good. They were not tempo matched. The dancing was not believable at all. But Bruce Dern was just fantastic. And the funny thing about this movie is it wasn't just LSD. They were talking about STP. STP-DOM is a psychedelic methamphetamine that Dow Chemical held the patent on. And back after the Summer of Love was over, the feds went to all the chemical companies in the United States and they went in there and said, you're going to stop selling this list of chemicals. And they were chemicals that were the precursors for LSD. So they basically shut off the supply of LSD in the United States. And simultaneously, 50,000 hits of STP flooded the Haight. And it was a psychedelic speed that was 5 times more powerful than you needed. They were hot shot hits and they would fry you out. And this coincides, this is the same time that Pink Floyd made their first American tour. So a lot of people think this is what happened to Syd Barrett. That it wasn't LSD, it was STP-DOM. You can go to the Men on the Border Facebook group, Men on the Border. I have a video where I read this essay, and someone from the Men on the Border Facebook group wrote this essay, and it explains the theory behind Syd Barrett getting a hold of this drug, which is much worse than LSD. It was a methamphetamine, and it would fry you out. You would be high on it for 72 hours, and then you would go into a schizophrenic depression that would last for months. So, Psych Out is a better movie than a lot of the other psychedelic movies I've seen. I enjoyed the performances. It does have Jack Nicholson in it. It's got the Strawberry Alarm Clock. It's got all of the ingredients needed for a good 60s freak out movie. This was one of the best ones I've seen as far as the kind of trying to expose middle America to what was really going on. The idea of this, you're gonna get to see a naked woman. Well, there's no nudity in the film, but there is aspects of that free love stuff going on, and there is exposure of enough of the culture counter stuff for it to seem more authentic. This is definitely worth your time if you're into 60s stuff and drug movies, or if you're curious about STP-DOM. Don't take it from me. Watch Psycho. Definitely worth your time. You could find these movies on YouTube or Tubi. They're all available for free, so don't come demanding a refund to Petey. You guys, stay warm. It's starting to get really chilly out there. Hug your pets. That's the most important thing I always ask you to do, is take that little one of yours. Give it some affection. You know what it likes. Maybe it doesn't like to be hugged, so you could just give it some eye contact and then throw it an extra treat. From Petey and Kita. And in the meantime, I'll leave you with the holy word. Peace.